So many of us in this season ask the same question, where did it go? Where is my joy? How do I then find it? Who took it? Did I give it away? Like, where is it? So, a long time ago, I used to have this big brown truck. It was an F-250. It was jacked way up, and I was super proud of that thing. And I would wash it every week. I was just so proud of that truck. And I used to live just outside of Chicago, and I would drive up to Michigan to go to my parents for Christmas, and we would cross the Mackinac Bridge, and it would get windy, and it would get wild up there. And one time I crossed that bridge with a motorcycle in the back of my truck, and the wind was just blowing, and I was like going side to side across, and it's high, and if you fall off, you're in some serious trouble. I remember just driving, being terrified. But I loved that truck. But that truck was the most impractical truck that there was. It was a jacked up F-250 with a stick shift from 1994, and I lived in Chicago. Now, there's not a lot of reasons to have a jacked up F-250 in Chicago, and no one likes you when they see you. Everyone in Chicago is mad immediately upon seeing your truck for whatever reason. They're like, I don't know you, I don't like you. And I would drive that thing through Chicago every night. I would work third shift. And then when I would get done working third shift loading freight for FedEx on a dock, I would drive a forklift. Then Christmas break, I would leave from third shift, and I would drive all the way up the coast of Michigan, up through Benton Harbor, through all those towns, and I would go to the UP. I would cross the Mackinac Bridge, and I'd get up there. And one time, I was driving this truck home, and the wind was blowing, and it was snowing like crazy, and I'm having the time of my life. Me and Mariah Carey are just singing at the top of our lungs, you know, all I want for Christmas. I'm just letting it fly. I can sing really good by myself in a truck. And all of a sudden, my headlights just shut off, and I was like, well, that's odd. I was young enough to know, like, to not know that I was in real trouble. It's not great to not have headlights in a blizzard. And they came back on, and I'm like, that's fine. We're good. Kept going, and they shut off again. And I'm like, oh, this will be all right. We can do this. And then the third time, they just shut off, and they didn't come back on. Now, again, if, like, guys, teenagers don't do this. You're normally getting a lot better advice from Brian because Brian's more mature and much more wise than I am. I decided, who needs headlights? It's snowing. I'll just keep driving. So I kept driving. And then all of a sudden, my entire truck just shut off. It just shut off. And so I got it off to the side of the road, and I sat in that truck on the side of the road, and something kept happening. These semis kept coming flying by, and the truck would rock back and forth, and I realized, like, I'm not really truly off the side of the road, and they can't really see me. So I couldn't decide if I should get out and walk or stay in the truck. I decided to walk to this light that I could see down the side of the road. So I got out, and I started walking. And I don't know, it doesn't snow like this that much here. Brian's experienced this kind of snow. He came to the UP with me one time in the winter, and he's experienced this, so I promise you I'm not lying. It snows up there, these massive, huge snowflakes, and they go sideways, and you just can't see 10 feet in front of you. Like, it's just, you see nothing. The only way you can really drive up there is you pick a semi and you follow its red lights, and you just hope it stays on the road, because if it keeps going, you can. So I was walking along, and it's snowing, and it's snowing, and it's snowing, and I got like a couple hundred yards, and I couldn't see my truck because of all the snow behind me, and I couldn't see the light in front of me because the snow was blocking me from being able to see it, and I'm walking, and I'm like, I have no clue where I am. But this thing would happen every now and then. The wind would all of a sudden stop, and when the wind stopped and all of the snow that was distracting me from seeing the light, when that all stopped for like a second, I could see the light, and when I could see the light, I would keep walking towards the light. I didn't lose my truck, and I didn't lose the light. I just lost sight of both of them. You cannot lose your joy, but you can lose sight of your joy. Because what happens in this season especially is little things like snowflakes one snowflake in itself is not going to make you lose your joy. I'm not going to lose sight of a light or a truck because of one little dinky snowflake. Not even 200 or 300. Probably not 2,000 or 3,000. But maybe 1,000,000 snowflakes or a couple million snowflakes. And now I didn't lose the light, I just lost sight of it. In your life, there is negativity and distractions, and they're small, and they seemingly don't matter. And so one negative thing is not going to distract you from your joy. But 1,000 negative things per day on your social media will. One irritation is not going to cause you to lose sight of how special your spouse is, but for the millionth time that they do the same exact thing, you start to lose sight of the joy of your spouse. One difficulty, one thing that blocks sight, one thing that is just so negative or difficult or an obstacle, even good things like rushing to this during the season, they're not bad. But you can rush all holiday season and then sit beside your spouse when the presents are open and be like, I don't even like you for some reason. We didn't lose them. We lost sight of what was so special about them. You don't lose your kids. You lose sight of how amazing your kids are and how much joy your kids bring you when you're so distracted by 1,000,000 little things blocking your point of view. So today, I really want to encourage you to refocus on joy. I finally got to this light and I bought a battery and I came back and I got my truck fixed and I made it home. It took me 16 and a half hours to go what was supposed to be an 8-hour drive. And when I got home, there's this thing that my parents do. It's corny and I love it. When my parents know we're about to pull in, they turn on every Christmas light. It's like lit up like the 4th of July, and then they go stand in the driveway and they shoot off fireworks every time one of their kids comes home. So my mom and dad are out there. It's like Christmas Eve. I think it was like 4 a.m. by the time I made it up there. And my dad's out there with a bottle rocket and a can, just shooting bottle rockets up. And they got every light on. And I was like, this is the joy that I was looking for. I never lost it. I just lost sight of it. You're not going to lose your joy. It comes from the Lord. But you can lose sight of it if you let all of the things happening around you take your eyes off of Him and off of that joy.